needing some help, some serious guidance when it comes to trouble codes on the dashboard. I drive a 2009 Mustang GT. I've owned it for about 9 months now, and roughly 2 months after I bought the vehicle, I came into a check engine light for a P0303. That's a cylinder 3 misfire, and I've tried numerous tactics to fixing it. None have been successful. I'll explain a little bit more about that as we get on. But I'll start off with the scanner. I'll get that booted up, and then I'll show you what my scanner reads. I don't know if you're gonna be able to read it very well. It's kind of plugged in, but I don't necessarily know that you need to read it. So, granted, this is not no fancy dancy scanner. This is a $50 scanner that I picked up off of the tool truck. But it tells me what I need to know and how to start addressing a problem. To give you a little backstory about this code, it's a very intermittent code. There's no like guaranteed way to get it to happen. Being that it's one cylinder, I've tried every avenue. I've done so many forum research. I've YouTubed, Googled. I've asked anybody and everybody I know who owns them, Ford Mustangs that is, or just any mechanics in general. I've asked everybody. Nobody knows what my situation is, and I'm hoping maybe somebody out there knows what my situation is. But so the cylinder 3 misfire, that's what I read, that's what it is. This scanner tells me it has 2 codes. It tells me that it has a stored generic cylinder 3 misfire detected code, and it also tells me that it has a pending same cylinder 3 misfire detected code. I don't really know what that means when it comes to pending versus stored, but either way, the car's running right now. It is not aggressively shaking. I don't see my tachometer moving that much, other than normal idle changes. So I have a check engine light. Those are the only 2 codes that I see. I don't really know how to read the data when it comes to this scanner, but that's not why I'm here. I'm going to give you a backstory of the whole attempt at me dealing with this code. I've been trying not to dump money at it, but that's kind of how it's just happened. But we'll start off right from step 1. So when the code came on, the first thing I did was plug this scanner in. It showed the cylinder misfire, the cylinder 3. It showed lean on banks 1 and 2. I knew that those were going to be separate. Those weren't going to be entailed to the reason that the cylinder 3 was happening. So my first case scenario is I wanted to try to find the misfire. So I tested my spark plugs. They were good. I replaced them anyway. I replaced the coil packs. So all 8 plugs, all 8 coil packs. I replaced the fuel injectors because of the many hours of forum research that I've done. It came back as clogged fuel injectors, and I didn't want to waste any time with it, so I went straight to Ford parts and I bought fuel injectors, and I went OEM on everything, just for the time being, because I don't have any mods done to the engine other than a cold air intake, but this was way later. After that, I cleared the code. I waited maybe 3 days and it came back. So other than that, I don't know Like, I did the things that you would think to do at the beginning, and none of that fixed it. So I moved on to step 2. So in step 2, I wanted to find the lean code problem. So I took a smoke machine, I hooked it up, I found a leak at the connection between the throttle body and the air intake tube. So I replaced the air intake tube with a cold air intake, and that actually solved the lean code problem, because there was unmetered air coming in around that throttle body and air intake tube. Not a big deal, got that taken care of. It was going to be about the same price either way, and with the cold air intake, I did put a tuner on it, and I actually hoped that it would maybe do a 2-for-1, because I'd be reprogramming the PCM to run the engine differently, that maybe I had some sort of issue with cylinder 3, maybe no more, you know, but that wasn't the case. So I guess I was hoping for too much, but my lean code went away, the cylinder 3 code came back, and that's okay. I moved on to step 3. Now, in my third attempt to try to fix it, I finally got down to the roots of solving a misfire problem, and I did a compression, both cranking and running. I don't exactly remember the numbers, like the PSI of the compression, because I did this maybe 4 or 5 weeks ago at this point. But I compared it with cylinder 1, and I did it with cylinder 3, of course. They came back great. Like, I have perfect compression in those 2 cylinders that I tested. I didn't test them all. And at that point, what my instructor told me to do, which I was at school at the time, he said I might have a fuel atomization problem. So I didn't really know how to go about that, but from the get-go of me owning this vehicle, when I first popped the hood, I noticed that there was some aftermarket wiring done to one of the injectors and the coil packs. So the injector wire was modified on cylinder 3, and the coil pack was modified on cylinder 2. I don't know why that was done. I'm not blaming anybody, but I'm assuming that the person before me was trying to deal with the same problem, but they were getting nowhere, so they went electrical. And I'm assuming that they did what I did too, which is not pull the valve covers. I have not pulled the valve covers yet. At this point, after replacing the injector coil pack, or I'm sorry, the injector connector on cylinder 3 with an OEM one, I have had no such luck. The code is back on. A lot of my data looks good. Like, from what I can read throughout my live data, a lot of my fuel trims look good. My long-term fuel trim on bank 1 is at -7, so that's a little high, -7%. Long-term fuel trim on bank 2 is at like 3, almost 4. Like, so they're not really super far off, to me at least, to be something to worry about when it comes to that being an effect. I don't know how to read a lot of this stuff, I'm gonna be honest. I'm no genius when it comes to scan tools, and yet again, this is just a winky-dink scanner. But I am out of ideas. I know at this point the valve covers probably need to come off, and I'm not afraid to do that. I've just been trying to expend every other option beforehand. But if I have good compression, if I have good components to create a kaboom action. I don't know what else it could be at this point. A suggestion of my instructor was I could have a carbon problem. The car has 97,000 miles on it, so I don't really know if that's the case, but I'm not leaving that off the table. The car has been driven very well. I know it wasn't absorbently beat on through most of its life. It was owned by an older guy. So at this point, I'm out of ideas. I'm actually gonna shut the car off. It's hot enough in here, but I don't really know where to go from here. Spark plugs are good, I know it. I've swapped them all around. I've done the whole move shebang. Again, I've tested compression. I am good on every aspect. I just do not know where to go from here. So I'm not expecting answers. I'm not expecting a solution. But to sum it all up, I think at this point the valve covers need to come off, because another suggestion is I could have some sort of grooving going on in either the camshaft or the rocker. Like they could be eating themselves up. I could have an oil feeding problem to that cylinder somehow. I don't know if it's fuel related still, but I've dropped it off at a shop near me, and they've kind of told me the same thing, is they're just going to need a crap ton more diag time in order to even be able to get somewhere with it. But I don't know. I need your guys' help. Hopefully someone out there will see this and be able to maybe point me in the right direction. I'm going to put it on every media platform that I have, so hopefully somebody will be able to help me out with that. But if you need any more info about my problem, I guess I'm happy to message you about it. But that's my vehicle. That's the problem that I'm dealing with. I'm kind of getting annoyed at seeing a check engine light. That's kind of why I'm making a video about this. But yeah, maybe we'll get something figured out, and hopefully we'll go from there.